Are you struggling to lose the grip and hold that anxiety has over your life? Are you always battling with feelings of overwhelm and worry and uneasy? That was me a year and a half ago, and this one question completely changed everything. Hey, I'm Sarah. I'm an acne, gut, and anxiety naturopath. And in today's episode, I'm going to be going deep and personal into my own experiences with anxiety and this one question that completely changed everything. So to give you a little bit of a backstory, my anxiety started around late high school years, but it wasn't until my early 20s when it really manifested into this kind of life-controlling, paralyzing type of anxiety. Now, in those early years, I managed to find ways to control it and manage it and live day to day without it really getting on top of me. But everything changed in late 2018, where I decided to fly solo as a naturopath and start my own business. Now, I did what any person starting a new business does. They work really hard because they want it to succeed. I was doing everything I thought I was supposed to be doing. I was ticking the boxes for what was expected of me by my schooling, by my mentors, and what I thought the world as a whole expected me to be as a naturopath. What I was expected to provide, what kind of service I was expected to give, and what they were generally expecting to experience with a naturopath when they booked in with me. Now, I worked myself to the bone to fit this mold. I was doing everything I could and making sure that I was doing it right, I was acting and behaving in the right way, and that I felt like I could belong in the naturopath world. And it worked. My business took off like crazy. And it was about 3 months in that I started to feel like this little niggling restlessness start to bloom in my heart. But I was doing everything right. I was acting and behaving in a way that was expected of me and kept trying to grow my business. But if I'm really honest with myself, I feel like I was always scrambling to be able to provide for my clients on that deeper level, but still be able to fit the mold of what they expected of me, of being able to do 30 to 60 minute consults like every other naturopath. And so I kept pushing through and kept doing exactly what was expected of me. I kept working really hard on my business and getting it to grow. I kept earning amazing praise from my mentors and from clients. And I ended up completely ignoring that iron grip that was just squeezing my heart every single day. After all, I was trying to build a business, and I was taught that often requires sacrifice. So I kept going through and pushing through that restlessness until one day it seemed to have morphed, and every day I just felt so incredibly overwhelmed. I felt really scattered and chaotic. And I'd wake up in the morning, and as soon as I'd open my eyes, I'd feel this iron grip squeezing my chest and this 100-kilo weight completely pressing down on my chest, and I found it so hard to breathe. But I had to carry on through my day. And as I'd be seeing clients and doing work, it just felt like this cyclone of chaos and thoughts just swirling around in my head. Like I couldn't get one clear thought, and it was like I was pushing through this grey, sticky smog. And I thought, heck, this is business. We get told we have to hustle, that you've got to work really hard, that it's not going to be easy. I thought if I just keep pushing through, there's going to be a light at the end of the tunnel and it's going to get easier. I'm new to business. What can I expect? This carried on for about 3 weeks at this intensity until one day after seeing multiple clients, I closed up and I went looking for my partner, and I sat on the lounge and my dog Winter came to cuddle me. And in that moment, for the first time ever, I felt nothing. I felt numb, completely disconnected. I remember I couldn't even find a little spark of like unconditional love or happiness that I feel when any of my dogs are around me. And it was in that moment that I knew something had to change. I couldn't keep living like this, where I just felt I had no control of my life anymore. So I sought help for my business, knowing that I obviously needed to change the way I did business because this was completely driving my life into the ground. And through the business mentoring, I stumbled across this interview by a lady called Lisa Nichols. And in this interview, she reflected on something her grandma had said. She said, "When you're at the end of your existence, it's time to tell your story. In the lead up to get there, go create your story and make one that is well worth telling." And it was like something just clicked. And I had this question that came rushing into my head. And I thought, when I'm at the end of my existence and I'm about to take my last breath of life, am I going to look back on my life and feel regret for everything I didn't do, or pride for how I've lived my life? Like, for so long, I was so scared of disappointing others, of not fitting in, of not being accepted for being myself. But when I really thought of it, when I get to the end of my life, I don't want to know that I've pleased others and everyone thinks fondly of me if it's at the expense of losing my life and losing my truth. So instead of worrying what people thought of me and if I fit in and if I'm doing it right, I made a pledge that I'm going to live my life with this profound sense of joy and happiness and live a life that's true to me. And it was this trigger that made me realize I have all these deep ingrained limiting beliefs that's completely triggering my anxiety. So in addition to having, the right nutrition and looking after my body, I started to rewire these beliefs and pivot the way that I practice being a naturopath and how I showed up for my clients so that it was something that invigorated me and lifted me up and fit in with my life, not fit in with others. This entire journey over the past year has been completely life-changing. And although it's been incredibly hard, it is one I'd do again in a heartbeat because it has changed my life for the better. I now have this intense ingrained sense of just calm and peace, and I finally feel free. Like, I don't feel like I'm held onto the shackles of trying to fit in or trying to do what's expected of me anymore. And throughout this entire journey, I just keep asking myself, when I'm at the end of my existence and I'm about to take my last breath of life, will I look back and feel regret for the life I didn't live, or pride for how I've lived my life? Thank you so much for being with me until the end. But now I'd like to turn it over to you. And I'd really love for you to ask yourself, when you're at the end of your existence and taking the last breath of your life, will you look back and feel regret for the life you didn't live, or feel intensely proud of how you've lived your life? Till next time. Whoa! Yeah. All right. I know, I love you too. I love you too.